Santa Claus is coming to town for the apes, and obviously we are not out of the clear just yet. It's going to take a little bit of time before we really do have that green light, but one of the biggest questions or most frequently asked questions I get on the live streams or in the comment sections is AMC going to squeeze by the end of the year? And that's what I want to talk about. We're seeing a phenomenal move today, up over 6%. We're getting a lot of volatility, especially right now when this is typically the lowest volume time of the day, and volume is actually picking up. So I think there's a lot of fronts to this. When you're trying to really digest and come to your own conclusions, is there going to be an end of the year rally? I think there's a lot to talk about, and that's what we're going to get into here in this video. Hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, as well as checking out the links down below in the descriptions. Also, make sure to go follow me on Twitter, The Creative Investor. So AMC is up 6.5% today, getting a lot of volume, having a lot of volatility, good volatility to the upside, and we're almost at 7%. So we just seen a 0.5% move in about 30 seconds. So you're definitely seeing a lot of volatility. You're seeing a lot of people buying into the stock, and there's a lot of different fronts to look at this. The short interest has been going insane. The short interest, by my own estimates, is well over 20%, and I mean that by the short interest on the exchange reported short interest data. Back here, November 15th was 17%. We were $43 per share on November 15th. So we have fallen substantially. We have seen Ortex's estimates revised to 17.16%, but those daily estimates are very inaccurate. So right now, we probably are at the highest short interest that we have ever seen with the stock. And I think what institutional investors, what hedge funds were really trying to do is kill the morale of the apes. They know this is the time of the year where if you have all of your money tied up in AMC, you can't really afford to do that, right? It's the holiday spending season of the year. If they could kill the morale once and for all, then they would ultimately win. But we know, we are seeing this reflected in the price action, the sentiment on Twitter and on YouTube. That was not the case. They were not able to do that. And if they wanted to cover on their short positions, I think right now would be the most ideal time to do that. I think we have seen the peak fear, and I think we are getting over the peak fear, because like I talked about on the live stream last night, like I talk about all the time, all of these catalysts that we have, Fred, Jerome Powell, December 15th, we have the debt ceiling by December 15th, we have this Omicron situation. All of these events, you will see peak fear before these events. Now, it is only December 2nd, so like I said, we are not out of the clear yet, but I do think we have seen peak fear, at least for AMC, with that negative 16% down day that we did see yesterday. So with that being said, circle back to the hedge funds and the short situation. They're likely to try to cover their short positions right now. We are at our lowest level that we have seen since the June rally, and it only makes sense right now to try to cover on these short positions, because if you average the short positions that got in between $50, $60 range, and the short positions that have been in this a while, yes, the ones that have been in this since before June are still severely negative, but they're not as negative as they were. So I think it makes a lot of sense right now to try and at least cover on a majority of your short positions. But let's circle back to what happened yesterday and what has happened since this sell-off from the, flirting with the $45 resistance level, now down to $26 on the low end. Those people that did sell yesterday, because it's ignorant to think nobody sold yesterday, some people did sell. Those people that sold are jumping back into the stock. I think today we're seeing a lot of people jumping back into the stock, and I think this will continue for quite a while. That's just market psychology 101. If you sold out of a stock yesterday when it was down 10 to 16%, whenever you sold out, and you see the stock up 6% today, you're going to buy the stock. At least 95% of the time, you're going to jump back into that stock at an even higher price. So I think when you add all of this together, mix that with the Santa Claus rally and just the overall broad rally I think we're going to see with the S&P, with the NASDAQ, with the Dow, I think you are looking at an end of the year rally with the markets and with AMC stock. And when you really try to factor in how many shares are shorted, the last exchange reported data we got was about 87 million shares. I would estimate we're at around 100 to 105 million shares that are sold short with a high days to cover. And that is very important because when you have a high days to cover, that means it's very hard to get out of your short positions. That means all of those 100 million shares that are shorted, it's going to take 2 to 3 days to get out of those short positions if all of those shares needed to get out of those short positions. But the biggest thing that I think AMC has going for it, forget the short interest, it's going to be the crazy amount of option activity we do have on December that is now out of the money. Once those options start to run into the money, that's when you're going to see all of that crazy hedging as well as shorts covering. But the biggest thing is going to be FOMO buying. I think you're going to see a lot of people FOMO buying back into this stock because when you're looking at this as a risk to reward profile, it's looking a lot better buying the stock at $30 compared to almost $45 just 2 weeks ago. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be buying AMC. I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited overall. And still, you do have tax loss harvesting that is going on. So if these hedge funds even want to take advantage of tax loss harvesting, it does make sense to cover on their short positions. And this works both ways because tax loss harvesting is selling out of positions that you are down on to write that off on your taxes. Now, there's much more short positions than long positions in AMC. In my personal opinion, when you do factor in the broad sense, not even the data that we get reported. We know short sellers use the option chain to make it look like they have covered and to report that they have covered on their short positions, when in all reality, they have not. So like I said, I do think the short interest is in between 40 and 80%. I think that's pretty conservative, and I think that is realistic to say. Now, AMC showed a lot of resiliency. The community is not going anywhere. So I think when you look at all of these things, seasonality as well, this time of the year tends to be a very good time for the stock market. I do think you're going to see a very, very bullish reaction. And you're not seeing firms at least reporting that they have sold their AMC position. There was a big rumor going around yesterday that Vanguard had liquidated their whole position and sold out. And that was not the case. They sold out 29% of their position pretty much across the board in all of their funds, but they have not sold out of their positions. You actually see incredibly bullish 13F filings that are coming out, or amendments to the 13F filings that are coming out. So I think this overall, this whole situation is very bullish. I think by the end of the day today, we could approach 10% positive. And I think tomorrow there's going to be a lot of incentive for these shorts to cover on their short positions before they really do start to go against them. And we do head back to that 40, 45, 50, 55, $60 range that ultimately I think is going to happen by the end of the year. So that is the current situation. Let's just talk about the option activity as well, because this is something that a lot of people fail to realize most of the time. So we see all of these puts that have ran into the money. We see the stock, yes, has went down substantially, but that means a lot of these puts have went into the money. Now, when these puts start to go out of the money, like we are starting to see today, you see de-hedging. So when puts run into the money, market makers, they have to short stock on the open markets. Well, when those puts run out of the money with a couple weeks to expiration, or even a couple days like this Friday expiration, you will see market makers have to buy stock in order to de-hedge these puts. So I do think tomorrow you're going to see a lot of de-hedging from the put side of these contracts that did run into the money yesterday and throughout the last 2 weeks. Now, you're also going to see calls running into the money expiring this Friday, which will help, tomorrow with that boost to the upside. But I do think all of these calls December 17th that have, run out of the money, that are going to run into the money, will also give us a big boost to the upside. And I think by January 21st, 2022, you're going to see a lot of activity overall with the calls running into the money. And by the end of the year, I should clarify, the end of the year rally, Santa Claus coming to town for apes, this very could well be a situation by the end of January or February that we are seeing the true fruitions of the MOAS. And like I said, I will say this again, we are not out of the clear. It's not a total green light to see the MOAS just yet. There is still about 2 weeks left of fear or potential fear left in the marketplace. After December 15th, once all of these situations have come to fruition and we know what is going to happen with the debt ceiling, we know how bad that or how not bad the Omicron variant is going to be. We are going to know the tapering speed with the bond purchases and the mortgage-backed securities. We're going to know all this information by mid-December, December 15th. And I think by then we will really have the clear to send this thing home and to bring massive tendies back to apes and their families. So that is going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys got some value out of it. If you did, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel, as well as check out the links in the descriptions, and make sure to follow me over on Twitter for all of the fastest news revolving around AMC stock. So that is going to be all for this video. Leave your opinions as well down below in the comment section. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one.